is the Practical Medicine Podcast, and we are Dr. Stephanie Lipnicki and
Dr. Rob Balko.
And
it's our goal to bring awareness to the public at large about the many different ways to maintain health and heal your body, mind, and spirit, from acupuncture to Zen living and everything in between.
So this is episode 20, and we're shaking things up a bit. Not sure if anybody can tell, we decided to go to the other Shared Universe podcast studio at Bellworks in Homedale. So we're at a different location. Christian's all excited that we're here. Just figured something new, something different. And we're going to do patient testimonials so that you can hear, in the words of our patients, just how amazing we are.
And humble.
No. You know how hard this is for me. That's why I was like, no, I can't do this. So just why are we doing an episode of testimonials and questions?
You just answered your own question.
No, but I thought your explanation was much, much better than mine.
You'll have to jog my memory.
That it gives the perspective of the patients, not just us saying that, you know, all of our acupuncture colleagues are great and, you know, how great your work is. It's in their own words.
That's right. We could say it all day long, but
right.
It makes much more impact when we hear it from the people who we help.
Exactly. So shall we start with me reading a testimonial from one of your patients, or did you want to start? Did you have other words to share, or you don't want?
Let's get right to people talking about me.
Sorry. Do you want to talk about me?
Once we're done talking about me, we can tell.
Okay.
We can ask you how you feel about that.
About what your patients say?
How
Okay.
awesome I am.
That sounds good. Okay, so the first testimonial sent in by one of Rob's patients says, I highly recommend the Atlantic Center, which, if you haven't already figured out, is the name of Dr. Rob's clinic. Dr. Rob is extremely knowledgeable about the field of acupuncture, and he continues to learn, having recently earned a professional doctorate and always learning a new specialty in response to his clients' needs. His nature is calming and compassionate, which makes the acupuncture even more effective. I went to him for insomnia, and he helped me using both acupuncture and Chinese herbs. Go see him. So...
Are there any questions about that?
Well, I mean, so did you do a custom formula? Did you do...
It was just
like
a
patent
formula for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not that complicated a case. Yep. And the professional doctorate, which you also earned,
Yes.
I believe, was back in 2018. So this testimonial is actually 3 years old.
But that still makes it effective.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm certain that he wouldn't, she
Actually,
would not, she wouldn't rescind her words.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so should I do another one, or?
Oh, please go on.
So another one is, Rob Balko has treated me for the past 14 years and is dedicated to improving and maintaining the health of my mind and body. He is skilled and is always learning new ways to treat his patients. If I could give him 10 stars, I would. KH from Ocean Township.
It's quite wonderful. And actually, I've helped her through hip pain, back pain, knee pain at various times in her life. Pregnancies, postpartum recovery, and then especially in the last couple of years, stress and insomnia with having 2 young children and trying to work in the school system while your kids are working at home and you're doing Zoom calls and they're doing
That's
Zoom
a lot of
calls
stress
and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
You know, I think given what we're looking at in the last year, there's so much stress, and I think people downplay it, or they're so caught up in it they don't realize it.
Yeah.
It really is taking a toll. I almost had someone run me off the road on Saturday. He was so stressed because the light didn't turn green for one cycle or something like that, so we could make our left against traffic. So we all got stuck, and at the next turn we all got to go. But once we got to go, they
went around you.
Yeah.
Because you weren't moving fast enough?
Couldn't possibly be going fast enough on a small highway.
So, yeah, so that
just
to me,
lots of stress going on.
when people who have been with you for that long, Like I've had a couple of situations like that where someone has been with me since I was a massage therapist even, and they transitioned into acupuncture. Or I had a few people who didn't, when I made the change from being a massage therapist to an acupuncture, who didn't, and it felt like, or if they move away, they're like family to me. I'm like, of course I want them to be happy wherever they're moving to, but there's that kind of, they leave that vacancy in your heart. Yeah.
And they have that connection with you.
Right.
That shared history. And then, like in this case, in some cases, I'm sure you have, you watch their kids grow up.
Yes.
I helped both her parents over the years. Her husband, she's referred other people to me.
Right.
Her friends,
right.
colleagues, things like that. It
Yeah.
really does become a family for some of us who treat in that way.
Right.
I think most acupuncturists do, but I'm sure there's some who are a little more clinical maybe, who don't
Possibly.
have that opportunity.
I think a lot of times I hear people talk about and I mean, obviously in a time of COVID, no one's hugging anybody, but to hug or not hug. And I think it depends on the patient, but I'm not averse to giving someone a hug when they need it, especially if they've been crying in the treatment room or, they just need that extra, because I deal with fertility, sometimes people go through the loss of, having a miscarriage, or if you're treating fertility and at the end of it they can't conceive, they've done assisted reproductive technology and they're trying to conceive and haven't. There's that, I feel like I have to be willing to just give that hug and,
Absolutely.
So.
Because there is that connection, right? We're treating everything from A to Z.
Yes.
So, we're working with a broken heart, a grieving person, right? The whole person. And that's really what separates us apart so much from Western medicine.
Right.
Is, they do what they can, but that's their specialty, and they may be super special at it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they can't move beyond whatever that might be,
Right.
gastroenterology, orthopedics,
Yeah.
or whatever. And for us, it's so integral. We see the effect of the orthopedic problem or the menstrual problem affect them in other ways. So we treat those other issues at the same time because our medicine is designed that way.
More comprehensive. I had just thought of something that I was going to share, and it totally went out of my head.
That's what happens when I talk too long.
No. It was important, and it was related to that, but... Oh, I know what I was going to say. When I was recently redesigning my website, and one of the things that I said to the web designer was... in terms of she wanted to know how I wanted my personality to come through. And I said, one of the things that I want people to know is that, and I think you've said something similar, where you might wait a half an hour in your doctor's office before you even get in and spend 10 minutes. I never want someone to feel rushed, that if they are crying, that I'm not like, get the F off the table and get out of here because I need the table for somebody else. Like, that's just for me, not how I want to run my clinic. And I think we've kind of touched on a little bit in some of the episodes how some insurance companies want to dictate the level of care and cut what we get reimbursed. And like, for me, that's a hard no. Like, I will not have somebody put me in a position where someone is crying on the treatment table and I have to tell them to get out because I need the room in 5 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, that's for me, it takes the heart out of the medicine. And I just don't feel like that's who I want to be as a practitioner.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I predict 100 years from now, we will see, with the studies of placebo and nocebo, the stuff that's being done at Harvard Medical by the Web Who Has No Weaver, Ted Kapchuk.
Ted, yeah.
We're going to see how effective that difference is.
Right.
When people are treated as a whole person versus treated as a series of processes.
Right.
That need to be propped up, managed, shut down, altered.
Right. On the note of the Web That Has No Weaver, I'm going to say it here because, this will be out there. This will be out there. And I have a copy of the Web That Has No Weaver that I lent to someone. It should still have my name in the front of it that they never gave back. If somebody finds that book...
You know who you are.
Yeah, they know who they are. Or if somebody found it at like some used bookstore, My office is in Allentown. You can find our info on our link tree, and you can send that book back to me because I would love to. So I read that book when I was 17. When I went to massage school, they had us read it as part of that. And I just want to see what my 17-year-old self said about this medicine that we're so immersed in now. So
my copy is a hardcover, tattered
hardcover.
paper. It still has
so
the paper
jealous.
wrapper around
The book sleeve.
the book sleeve, which is torn. It was my acupuncturist's, so it has his notes in it from probably 1978 or something like that.
That's spectacular.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
Did you add notes to it?
a little bit, yeah.
That's cool. Shall we read another?
How about we skip down to a testimonial from
Okay.
Dr. Stephanie,
Oh, one of mine. Okay. Go for it.
and then after that maybe we'll do a video.
Oh, that sounds good.
I've been a patient for Dr. Stephanie since 2011 for fibromyalgia and allergies. I'm super sensitive to medications, and every single med my doctors tried with me made me feel sicker than the fibromyalgia. I can swim and exercise regularly and cannot believe the difference acupuncture has made in my life. I also used to have to take a drug for my allergies, an injection that my sister, who was a nurse, used to beg me not to take because it damages your kidneys, and I stopped needing it once I was getting regular acupuncture. I'm so grateful for Dr. Stephanie. It's beautiful.
So this is one of those patients that moved away when she retired, and she still texts me, and I adored her. But yeah, every single med that they prescribed, like every side effect that they listed in the sleeve, she would get, and she almost didn't come to me. So she started trying to schedule back when. So my father had like right around the time that my dad had passed away. Or I think maybe even my grandmother, and it was like months of going back and forth of, she would schedule, and then right before the 24-hour window, she would cancel the appointment. And, you can't force somebody to come in, even though you try and explain to them, like, if you get here and I put a needle in and you really hate it, I'm not going to make you sit there with the needle in. And I've never had anybody, after I put that one needle in, get up and walk away. And I wanted to go back in her chart because I don't even know what that drug was but I could remember time and time again, she would say, I used to have to take it all the time, and my sister was super mad at me for taking it. And she's had a little bit of trouble trying to find someone who she meshes with. Like she just moved in December, and it is hard because you have that relationship of, if you really love the person that you've gone to, It may take, and I keep telling her that you don't have to settle on the first person. Try a few different people, and then pick the one that you're the most comfortable with that's down there, and continue, because you don't. If you're getting those side effects from meds, the same thing would happen down there as it would up here. So, you want to do a video one?
Did you have a story about her for scheduling?
Oh, that was just that I kept scheduling her in, and she goes,
right.
she kept canceling. No, that's okay. So which one of your audio did you want to do first?
Why don't we start with Lisa?
Hello, my name is Lisa, and I started working with Dr. Balko about 11 weeks ago. First off, going into his office, I felt very safe, and we gained a rapport right away because during the intake, he actually heard me. He was asking questions and really wanted to get to the root as to why I've been feeling the way I have for a majority of my life. The thing that I was most excited about was not leaving with an antibiotic or a prescription. Dr. Balko has given me great results. I didn't know how many allergies that I actually had until meeting with him, and I feel great relief. I constantly had sinus issues, postnasal drip, earaches, chronic fatigue, and I definitely feel progress since working with Dr. Balko. I don't feel the pressure or the head fog nearly as much as I used to. I feel a lot more present, and for that, I am extremely thankful. I also did a few acupuncture sessions with Dr. Balko, and it was such a wonderful experience. Going in, I didn't know what to expect. The next day, I did feel a little bit of fatigue, but about 3 or 4 days later, I felt a lot more energy and a lot less stressed, and I was more focused and balanced. I cannot say enough wonderful things. I want to continue going there and making this part of my lifestyle, because the fact that I don't have to go on an antibiotic again and know that there is a natural solution to the cause as to why I'm feeling the way I do is just such a relief. So I highly suggest going to him. I've done it for all my coworkers and friends and family, and I'm continuously hearing great results and feeling great. All right.
So she started out with allergy treatments,
Right.
and then decided to try acupuncture.
Right. Yep. And what happened with her, you notice she mentions antibiotics more than once, is they kept just prescribing another round,
Right.
and making them stronger and stronger, which then created other issues for her, especially her allergies were, some of the symptoms were brain fog and the chronic fatigue she mentions, and the inability to sometimes find words she was looking for.
Oh,
It was
wow.
starting to become a neurological component to her allergies. And very quickly, we were able to make that go away.
You
which
think
was
that's the
fantastic.
cold nature of the antibiotics because they're so cold? Like,
I think of the brain-gut axis and how damaging it was to
Yeah.
the gut, and now we're damaging the communications to the brain.
right?
Right.
Fantastic
And the
though
brain
that
function,
she's.
right? So yeah, she went through the allergy system, which I have, which has no needles, and then she wanted to try the needles, and she loved that. Right off the table, she was really had a great reaction. But a big thing she says in the very beginning is really important: is he heard me,
Yeah.
and I think that really goes a long
I
way.
loved that she said that because I think that, sometimes people
because
are
you've
like,
heard it 1,000 times.
yes. Or they say, because I don't know how long your intake is, but when I explain to people that, on your first appointment, I don't schedule anybody else at the same time. And I say, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions and you're going to go, what the F does this have to do with anything that's going on? And I try and explain to them, it's that I'm looking at the whole picture.
Right.
And I think taking that time, like she said, that having someone finally listen to what you have to say it's a huge component of healing, that being heard.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then the next thing that happens is you tie those things together, right? Because at the end of that intake, they say, wow, I sound so sick, because they've listed more than 4 things, say,
Right.
that they've had or ongoing things. And to them, now they have 4+ different problems, and we can look at it and say, you really have one major problem that's causing 3 of these.
Right.
Or 4
Root and branch.
right? So then you say, as we're working on, you're going to see improvements, but we're going to focus on that one because that's what you came in with, but you're going to see improvements on all of those things
Right.
as we move forward.
I actually recently had someone that had come in for neuropathy. No known cause of it in his case. A lot of times I've seen patients who have it because of cancer treatment or that, diabetic neuropathy. And, I told him that because he didn't know where it was from and the severity of it, it might take 10 to 20 treatments before but I said, what's your main goal? And he said, I want to be able to walk my dog. And at the end of the 10 treatments, he could walk the dog outside a quarter of a mile. And he was like, yeah, I don't really think you helped me. And I was like, okay, let's talk about some of the other side things that you were, you said that you wanted to lose some weight, you lost about 8 pounds, and I listed all these things. And he's like, yeah, no, it just, and I was like, okay, I'm here if you need me. I'm here if you change your mind. But that's another thing is that I try and remind them what their goal was. If, and that sometimes it does take a little longer to achieve.
Maybe sometimes show them that form that they filled out that said,
Yeah.
that filled in the blanks to those questions, right? And you say, well, now I can walk, I can't.
Right.
I can walk 0,
Yes. Well, that was one of the things that at the end of that, the MyMop form, which a MyMop form is a form where you can give it to a patient at the beginning of the care, and then they're writing it down. And in 2 weeks, you give them the same form without showing them what they wrote on the first form. And that was at the end of it. I'm like, I wish I had done the MyMop form. But on the second to last treatment, he told me how much he loved me. And I was like, really? I said, do you know how many times I've heard that in the 30 years since I became a massage therapist? And he's like, no, but I really mean it. But the final conversation when we were doing our like reevaluation and talking about like whether or not to continue care, it was like a night and day kind of situation. And I was like, you know, you have to meet people where they're at. And I was like, you know, if I could cure someone in one visit, I would charge so much money and just vacation the other days.
So the last comment on that Lisa's video was that she was referred by someone who was referred by someone who saw something about me or heard about me or something like that, and she went through the allergy program.
Okay.
And she did so well that she hounded those people
To go and take care of it.
because she knew how sick Lisa was. Lisa was much more
Wow.
sick than she was, and complaining all the time, and on the antibiotics, and on you know,
Right.
point being, you know, it was that network that they had
Right.
together, and they all worked together.
So let me ask you a question on that. So how many times did it take the person who told her to come in? How many times did she have to hear, you have to go see Dr. Rob, you have to go see Dr. Rob, before she finally was like, oh, just, I'm going to go see him to just, you know,
Right.
because I feel like there's that component too. Like people will come in and they'll say, well, I referred, you know, so-and-so, did they give you a call? And a lot of times I'll say to them, I'm so grateful that you have that confidence in me. You may have to tell them a couple more times before they'll make that phone call. And then, of course, once they come in, like in her, you know, you can see from and hear from her testimonial how much she loves you. That, you know, I'm sure she wishes she picked up the phone and made that call even sooner. So, all right. So, what should we cover next?
How about you read the one from KH?
Yes.
Let's do the next one down. This woman is a colleague of Lisa's, so we'll put them together.
This is the one from Tinton Falls?
Yes.
Okay. So, Dr. Balko came highly recommended by a friend who had been healed through his allergy program. I've suffered from allergies all of my life, and they had recently become more severe. Dr. Balko's allergy treatments are amazing. I can now eat food without breaking out in hives or itching. This fall marks the first time I've been able to enjoy time outdoors, which has been a life changer. Dr. Balko is a highly skilled clinician who is compassionate and truly cares about healing his patients. I highly recommend his practice. That's from BT.
That was another great case. It's very difficult. So many different allergies, both environmental and food, and also affecting her sleep and thoughts, you know, ability to put thoughts together. In addition to the usual sinusitis, itchy eyes, scratchy throat,
All
and
those
stuff.
common
Yeah.
things.
And she sent her adult son, and we even worked on her husband on the. There is a compound that when you have Lyme disease, you can't eat meat. Are you familiar with
Yes,
this?
some people have that. It's
I
like one
forget-
of the bacteria or
I
one
forget
of the...
the name of this compound in meat that makes you sick. And we tried to treat him, and it didn't work. But it was worth a try.
Right.
And it's sometimes in the case like that, you need multiple times.
Right.
But he did go to the doctor afterwards, and his sensitivity is like magnitudes of more sensitive to that compound than the typical person who tests
Wow.
as being allergic to it.
Okay.
His is like a 20 on a scale of 1 to 4.
Wow.
You know, something like that. Really insane. So it's no wonder that we
Did
really
it
didn't.
change though? Like after
No.
he?
I
No, it didn't
only-
even come down a little.
I just treated him once.
Oh,
thought
okay.
I said, you know, let's give it a shot.
Do you think it would have maybe though if he had done it a couple
I
more
think
times?
if we had done it a number of times, we could have done it.
Yeah, just
could've-
even if it slowly worked it down, just to level it out.
Yeah. Once in a while, I like toying with the system like that. Let's try this. You know, as an example, I treated my wife for sensitivity to the sun.
Okay.
She could sit in the backyard under an umbrella and get red blotchy patches on her skin because she's so fair-skinned.
Right.
So we treated sunlight, and the entire rest of the summer she was fine.
Now, will you have to boost that at the beginning of
Yeah,
the next
for
summer?
that one, we did have to do it again.
Okay.
But one treatment for a whole summer is still
Yeah,
pretty good.
who cares? As long as you can. I mean, because
Yeah.
do you want to have to be inside the whole time? Like you guys are
Right,
out
or
and
covered
about.
up,
Right.
long sleeves. You're wearing basically wearing a sunscreen shirt, right? A rash guard, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
Something like that, So, another testimonial or a video?
Can we do my video from Kobe?
Sure. Oh, definitely.
Hi, my name's Kobe. I've been seeing Stephanie for at least 10 years now, and I have to say she's been a critical part of my healthcare journey. She has helped me with infertility, and with her help I was able to have 2 successful full-term pregnancies, and I have overcome any need for allergy medication, which I used to take almost year-round, and I no longer take it at all. I see her regularly, and she is always able to help me with whatever ailment I may be having at the time, as well as always being completely open to hearing about anything that is, currently bothering me and being able to treat it on the spot. So I do highly recommend Stephanie to anyone who wants to try an alternative medicine. She's worked wonders for me, and I appreciate her.
That is awesome.
So you talk about like a friend of a friend referring. She was referred by the young woman who now has kids of her own as well, but who watched my kids while I was in acupuncture school. And like she came to me, and then, it's that, like you said, they told 2 friends and they told 2 friends. And so she's been with me. Her girls are just beautiful. I love them. And I love, seeing the pictures of them and knowing that, that's one of the, fertility is one of those things that some of our colleagues will say that they don't want to treat. And I get the part that's hard about it when it doesn't end in a successful pregnancy. But then when it does, knowing that you had like a part in that, like I think when I first started doing it, in fact, I think the first case I had when I was in school that I was like, I got someone pregnant. It was like, it's kind of a weird thing, but it is like, it's so exciting that you could be part of that. And then, usually when they're in the hospital and they send you those pictures right away, and that you're on that list of like the first round of pictures that goes out, or once they get pregnant, and then prepping them so that they have these smooth, easygoing labors, and you get them ready towards the end of their pregnancy with, points that help, smooth the process along.
Right. There's nothing like getting that first picture.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't even keep touch with the person who was my very first. She was a classmate, didn't want to treat fertility at all. So a classmate at PCOM referred her to me while we were at PCOM, and she moved, and but I still have that picture on like the board in my office of like the first baby that I
Nice.
that I ever helped.
Nice.
Do you want to do another video of yours? Or should we
Sure. Let's do Kevin. That's a short one.
Hi, Kevin O'Shaughnessy here. I've been seeing Dr. Rob now for a couple months. And, I came in pretty skeptical at first because I'm a lifelong sufferer of allergies. And, you hear what he's going to do and you're like, is this going to work? But I tell you what, I'm starting to feel just so much less pressure in my sinus, waking up now, not congested like I was, sleeping so much better. It's really just been fantastic. I highly recommend you give it a try.
I like that description of when he explains what he's going to do.
We've all been there, right? Is the skeptical patient, right?
Yeah.
And very often they've tried everything else, or someone gets through to them that says, give it a try.
Right.
And he gave it a try, and it's changed the way he functions now. Like,
Excellent.
He's doing great. I actually used I have a laser, and there's a nasal attachment for it.
Oh, wow.
So it actually goes up the nose. And I did that, and he wasn't even done, and he was blowing his nose and clearing out a bunch of stuff. And for the next week or so, he was feeling fantastic.
Now, was that allergy treatment and acupuncture and laser?
Just everything but the acupuncture.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
So now what we do is we do an allergy treatment, and we end it with the laser to do an immune boost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, really neat.
Excellent. see. Which one should we do? Do you want to do my quick? She just gave a little line, but I thought I would talk about her case, the breast cancer.
This is a breast cancer case study / testimonial for Stephanie. Stephanie got me through chemo and its side effects. I couldn't have gotten through it without her.
So I know it's like a short little blurb,
But that's huge. You know, it's only a few words, but when you're suffering through chemo,
right,
and you have support like that, it makes all the difference in the world.
One of the things that I loved about her particular case was that she was in these, like support groups. So some of them were like a support group where all of you were taking the same drug for breast cancer. So in her case, she had a little, she started right away when she was getting the chemo, and she had some neuropathy of the toes that didn't even last more than 2 weeks because we were treating it right away. I did Moxa and needles on the toes. She never reported having nausea the entire time that we were doing it. She did experience full hair loss that, she was saying to me that as her hair was growing back, all these other people who were in that support group said that their hair hadn't even started growing back yet. And really the one thing that was different was that she was doing the acupuncture, and she's like, do you think? And I'm like, well, it's strengthening everything and you're doing so well. And I've heard of cases where someone is going through chemo and they can't even make it through all the rounds, which is a hard thing. And I think people need to realize that we're not looking to treat the cancer. We're treating as acupuncturists the side effects so that you can continue that treatment and get through it and come out the end and heal that much quicker from what's going on.
Yep.
So, and she's come in since then for regular maintenance and health and wellness, albeit, she has small kids. So it's always when you have small kids, it's harder to, but I think it was that if I remember correctly, her friend from California found me through a search at the time. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was pretty cool. And, to have someone that far, recommending.
Mm-hmm. How about the next one? Number 3.
Number 3. Do you want to read that one?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I have been a patient of Dr. Stephanie for over 7 years. She is the most caring medical professional I've ever met. She listens to her patients and is always able to offer help with my pain. She communicates on her days off to see how her patients are feeling. Dr. Stephanie is compassionate, a true professional, so knowledgeable, and is always concerned about the care of her patients. She has such a passion to help people and always has a positive attitude. If you're in pain, make an appointment. It will truly change how you feel. Susan.
So
there you go.
It's one of those things that, and I'm sure it's the same for you, that sometimes I still am in awe that we get to practice this medicine and make this kind of difference in someone's life, to see them, where they're almost desperate because they're in so much pain and not seeing that light at the other end of it, and that we can kind of be that guide for them.
Yeah. Not easy.
Should we read another one of yours, or do you want to you still have
2? I forgot how many
I think we still have 2 more videos that we can do of yours.
Let's do Marjorie.
Hi, my name is Marjorie, and I wanted to do this testimonial because Dr. Rob Balko has really, really opened my eyes to acupuncture, not only to understanding the science of it, but to the medical benefits, really mind, body, and spirit. So when I first came here to the Atlantic Center of Acupuncture, it was for stress treatment. And after a half an hour, I got up from the treatment and I just felt renewed and calm, and it lasted for several days. So I'm back here again today for a second treatment, and I just wanted to share this with everybody because it's like we don't know what we don't know, and when you learn more about acupuncture, and especially with Dr. Rob Balko, because he's so passionate about what he does, I kind of wanted to just share this so that everybody can feel the same benefit that I do. Thank you.
She was great.
Yeah, I love that you don't know what you don't know.
Right. That was a big thing for her. She had no idea what this was. And I met her recently, and here she is, from her perspective, she's probably like, how's this guy making a living on doing this thing that, like, who's going to do that? What's that all about?
Right.
And she said, all right, well, I'll give it a try. I'll try it once. And that was after, was the
That
second.
was she was coming back.
Back for the
not.
But when she got off the table the first time, she was like a different person. She was in heaven.
It's that acu-drunk feeling that we all love.
Yeah.
I love that feeling.
Yeah, she really got to switch from that. Like I always say, acupuncture is like sensitivity training, right? We're bringing people back to realizing their bodies and how they work, right?
And what normal is supposed to feel like. That our body gets used to this feeling that's like that it's almost like it thinks that the stress pattern is the normal pattern. Like this is my pattern and this is how I'm supposed to be. And I don't know any other way to be. And I always explain to people, one of the things that, like when she said, and now I'm back for another treatment, is that initially I explained to people that it's like the body wants to hold on to that stress pattern. It's like, oh yeah, that feels good, but I'm used to this and I like it and I don't, and that each time we put the needles in, we're telling the body, no, pins, sorry. I forgot that Daniel said he wants us to call them pins. I know, but then my license plate doesn't work anymore. I can't, I'm not, you think they're going to give me pinner?
You need a second car, pins and needles.
Pins and needles, there you go. That it's retraining the body every single time.
Right.
And that it lasts longer each time they come back.
Right. Deeper and longer.
And that if there is a period of time where, like I said, when someone has kids and they can't always put themselves first, I always say that when you come back in, the body remembers that feeling and it will go right back into that place fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So
the other big sensation people have off the table for the first time is they feel what they call tired. And really they're relaxed.
Yes.
And they don't know what it's like anymore to feel relaxed. They just feel like I could just go home and lay down.
Right.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
Right. I think we defend that. Like we feel like we have to defend rest, particularly in the United States. Like in other countries where I was looking at something the other day where this person was in Italy and she was talking about wanting to run down to the store and all the stores were closed between like 2 and 3 p.m. And that if we tried to do that in the United States, it's like people would implode if you took that period of rest. But yet at the same time, if you took that period of rest, you can be even more productive later on.
Right.
But yeah, I hadn't thought about that most people aren't realizing that, when they say tired, that it's not probably not really tired. It's that they're relaxed.
Right.
And I think I'm going to use that. No, you're not. I don't think you're tired. I think you finally feel what relaxed is, and now you know what it is.
How about some fertility?
Yeah.
When I missed my appointment last week, my daughters asked if I had seen Dr. Stephanie because they noticed that the fertility medications were making me irritable. They knew I hadn't seen you.
I thought that was fantastic. That they were like, you have not been there yet. And what's interesting is when she would miss periods of time in between treatments, her wife would say to her, like, you had better go see Stephanie, like, because you're getting on my nerves.
Right. Please
like,
go.
It happened a few
Please
times.
go.
Or like
for me.
So
Do it for me.
It turned into fertility, but what it had started out as was headaches. She had come to me for headaches, and then I was treating her while she was going through fertility treatments. And they just had a baby in December.
Okay.
So yeah, and again, I love working with couples and seeing that, they get to have that baby at the end.
Right.
And even if it isn't that I do it solely on my own, that they have to use assisted reproductive technology, it's still nice to be part of that journey.
There's still a lot going on that they need support for.
Yeah. And again, that's something that, if you find a practitioner that's not comfortable, some people are comfortable using assisted reproductive and having those patients be their patients. There are those of us out there that, I'm willing to meet you where you need to be, especially as somebody who went through fertility treatments because of my endometriosis. I know what it's like to want that, you know, have that baby after having miscarriage after miscarriage, and having that support of having acupuncture the whole time, not just for the physical side effects of the fertility drugs, but for the emotional aspect of healing from loss, and
Right.
it's overall supportive for that.
Yeah, yeah. I will admit that when I first got acupuncture, I didn't notice anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even relaxed
I
or
went-
tired?
I really went first for sort of more like herbal consultation
Okay.
sort of thing, right? And I'll admit this too. And second treatment in, he said, "Do you want to try some acupuncture?" And I didn't want to say no because I'm a guy, and I can't be
okay.
afraid, right? And I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I really. What is that? Just like Marjorie. and he put them in, and of course he was using the thinnest possible needles and very shallow insertion. He's had a whole other level that he was working at, and I didn't really notice a difference, but my wife did.
In you.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen
Just
that happen to
like-
people.
just
I
like your
love
patient
that.
Here, So she's not the only one who
Right.
maybe didn't feel it at first, but again, as we've said here, and I feel like I repeat this all the time. Every new patient, we wind up going through this discussion at some point. Is
Right.
you're starting to feel your body. You're starting to feel you.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
It's funny that you say that, because I just had someone recently that I just started working with. And after her first treatment, I said, did you feel, I always ask, did you feel anything that was different? Because usually I tell people the first thing that they notice is that, how they respond to stress and how they, stress impacts them is the first thing that changes. And she said, oh, I wasn't the only one who noticed. She said her husband noticed that she was much more calm. And he was like, are you okay? She's like, why? He's like, you
who is
seem
this
really
person?"
calm, right? Exactly. So yeah, that's the other thing too, that I love that, that your wife noticed that you were, more calm. Do you want me to read one of yours, or do you want to do your
Why don't
last
we do the last video?
video?
Let me cue this one up a little bit by saying Diane had a stroke. It affected her left arm and leg,
Okay.
mainly at her foot and her hand. She had like
Okay.
a neuropathy, pins and needles feeling in her hand and her foot.
Okay.
And we set her up with a course of treatment, and we got the results that we were looking for.
Okay, cool.
Oh, and I also gave her the tea. I have a special tea that comes from Andrew Miles and Company, Botanical Biohacking, that's specifically made for
Post-stroke.
neurogenic properties and things like that.
Cool.
Which one? Diane?
My name is Diane Nguyen. I had a mini stroke like a year ago in May 2019. Before I came to Atlantic Acupuncture Center, I have a left side of stroke. My hand always, very, very stiff by the side of the hand, and my foot as well, and it's tingling. Most of the time it's tingling. I feel really hurt, really painful, very uncomfortable. And I get a recommendation from a friend from Maryland. She recommended me to visit Dr. Rob Balko. Say that he's very good in curing of the stroke, of the mini stroke, and so he can make it better. So and I came here. So now today is after 1 year of treatment. So I feel much better, and it's completely like almost 90 to 95% healing. Today is the first day I feel it's completely, all the tingling is gone, the hand and the foot as well, just a little bit pressure from here. So, but I guess I still have 2 more treatment to go. So by the time 2 more treatment got, finished. So I think that I completely like 100% healing after a mini stroke. So I just want to recommend to any patient who have a mini stroke or stroke. So Dr. Rob Balko is a good one, so he can cure you. Just come to visit him. All right, thank you so much. I feel really appreciate with Dr. Rob Balko. I feel very thankful to have him. Thank you.
She was great. So she said it was a year of treatment, but it was not a full year of treatment because we had COVID interrupt us.
Okay.
I think we skipped 6 months probably of that.
How soon after the stroke did she find you?
She had the stroke in May of 2019. I believe we started October
Okay.
of that year,
Okay.
something like that, late fall. Yep. And then we went basically to about March, and then COVID stopped us, and then we started up in the late fall again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And now she's back.
Which, if this is somebody's first episode tuning in, that's one of your specialties is treating strokes. So I'm glad that she found you.
Yeah, one of the other acupuncture. Her friend was an someone else I studied
Okay.
stroke with was from Maryland.
That she knew.
and she knew her, or maybe there might have been another person in between.
In between.
There,
That's how that works.
in that community, the network
Right.
of people. So
Very cool.
yeah, really cool. Yeah, she was great.
I'm looking at the time. Should we look at the comments and see if there's any comments we need to check? Katie commented, "Is that a Dogma poster?" Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Alpha Gal is the allergy to the
Alpha
milk.
Gal, that's
Alpha
right.
Gal.
Yep.
And then Ming wished us happy 20 episode. And Ming must have been commenting about the Dogma poster, that it's the British poster. Because I can't see where else that comment would have.
I thought he was talking about the podcast when I first heard
Is it the British? Should we be talking like this? Is it the British episode
like,
of
you got the versions,
Personal podcast? We have to do our accents today.
I always forget to.
And then you forget to do the accent
Yeah.
when we're doing like the voiceover.
Yeah. I'm not sure where I want to be from.
You could be from Paris. He's like, no, I don't think so.
That's not happening.
I was thinking you're going to be from the South.
I mean, you could also be from Jersey. So
We could be from Jersey. I can't even do a Jersey accent.
Oh, I totally can.
I can say water.
Like
I
it's
need my
nobody's
water.
business. Unbelievable.
So Daryl said, skeptical patients are the best when you help them so much. It is. They're like the best testimonials because they
Depends on how skeptical they are.
meaning that you can't convert them.
Well,
or?
some of them they're just, I'm coming here because my wife is making me or something.
Oh yeah,
and-
in a situation like that, yeah. Okay, that I will agree to. That definitely does not make it an easy
but when
sell.
they're interested,
But see, even so,
or when you take their pain away,
yeah,
right? That'll change them.
I've had one or two where I felt like they were going to be skeptical, but then they weren't. Like I
Right.
just
Yeah.
had a new
Yeah,
patient that I
sure.
thought I felt like the intake for me felt rushed because I felt like he just didn't want to answer any of the questions that I was asking. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a guy who I'm going to put these needles in and he's never going to come back. And he came back the next week and he's like, this was fantastic. He's like, I was able to exercise. My shoulder didn't go numb anymore. It feels, and I was like, really? Because I really didn't, I thought you'd cancel that second appointment. I didn't,
Yep.
I thought he was going to be a harder sell. I was just surprised.
Yeah.
So,
I had one of those recently.
yeah.
First, it started with wanting a discount on the initial visit. So that already makes you think, like, I'm not so invested because you're not.
Right.
And then, well, I have these other problems too. You're going to treat them all, or we're going to have to do them one at a time. A lot of pushback. And then the first time on the table, I'm working on him, and he's like, well, you're really doing a lot of work here. I feel like I should be paying you more.
Yeah.
And even on the second visit, he emailed me before. I'm a little concerned about this and that. I don't know what I want to do. And when he came, he was fine.
Yeah.
He's just anxious. He wants to get better. And that's the way he's presenting. And sometimes you need to be a little patient with that.
Yeah.
And let that go. and kind of stand where you are, right?
Right.
We have our protective chi,
Yes.
right? That says this is what I do, this is what you do, and he's doing great.
Very cool. I see another comment from Daryl.
About
I get a lot of those, but they
Stanley?
also. No, I don't think about
Papa
Stanley.
Bowie.
No, because you can't see the Stanley picture. You can just see the
I
dog
was-
one.
I can't tell what they are, so I had to make it up.
She said, I get a lot of those, but they also recommend if I have a, but they also recommend if they have a good rapport with you, even if you don't help them, they may recognize when someone else will benefit. That's a good point.
Right.
That even if it doesn't help them, they could see the benefit for somebody else. Should we read any other ones, or should we start wrapping it up?
Which one do you want to read?
Do you want me to read the shoulder pain? You have a shoulder pain one. The eczema one. That's a good one too.
Go for it.
Okay. So Dr. Balko was my last stop, but he should have been my first. Having a history of allergies, more specifically eczema, I quickly experienced much needed relief upon finding the Atlantic Center for Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine. It took a few visits and I felt much better. Not only did my eczema subside, but other allergic symptoms disappeared as well. Dr. Balko is a wealth of information in his field of study. I am eternally grateful for his expertise and patience. I have recommended his practice to others and will continue to do so. Eczema is, when we had Juliet on it, it's such a tough one. So when you can give someone relief from that, and the eczema and allergies, I feel like often go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's what it was. I treated her using the allergy protocols, and that's what really got most of the eczema to go away. I'm waiting for Clayton's cream to use on that.
So that she can
See if
take her
that'll
the
work.
next
Right.
next level.
Yeah. She's the one that she's like the closing time person. You're wrapping up. All the chairs are on the tables, and I'm trying to kick her out.
Oh,
She
okay.
doesn't want to leave.
But don't you think that's because we make our offices so comfy that
right.
people, I mean,
Right.
even in
when
between.
you're lying on a biomat,
Yes.
right, and you might even have a blanket on top of you.
biomat.
Right?
Oh my
And
God.
She says, "Oh, you're too soon. Go away. Go away. I'll lock up."
That's fantastic.
And she's brought her daughter recently, who's got some neurological issues going on.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, we're having a good time
Cool.
down at the Atlantic Center.
Down at the Atlantic Center. Very cool. So we have all of our contact information is in our links, the link in our bio. We want to thank Christian for being our tech today.
Always
And
Should we get Christian on screen?
No one wants to see this ugly mug.
I did take a picture of him and shared it.
You
can-
did?
Yes.
Why'd you do that? No one wants to see this.
You didn't sign a release.
Oh no, now you're going to get me in trouble. Because I didn't make him
Nah, it's
sign
all good.
And we want to thank everyone who tuned in to listen, and we will see everybody soon. Thanks so much, everyone.
And everybody who provided videos and
Yes. Oh
testimonials.
my gosh, yes.
Testimonials are so important for us. It really helps get the word out. So
Yeah.
if you could write a testimonial for your acupuncturist or, whoever you are on the call here, acupuncturists, spread the word. My Jane software actually emails patients with a link.
I changed mine too,
do
so
it.
that they would do that.
And I discovered 4 more testimonials I didn't know I had. They're a little short, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't care how short they are. It's
And
just
I
nice
think
to
it
get
goes-
feedback, positive or negative.
Those Jane ones, I think, go straight to Google.
Google.
So you don't even, it cuts out the middleman. So you're huge, not everyone has the software that Dr. Rob and I have. So if your practitioner doesn't email you that, definitely go to Google and leave, rave reviews, because it helps get the word out for acupuncture and how great, the medicine is.
In my email signature file, I have a link to Google reviews, so people could just click on that
Oh, that's smart.
and make a review, make an appointment,
Very good.
sign up for Qigong,
I like that.
send
Smart.
me Venmo.
My
Uber
web
Eats.
designer has like a thing where you can send her tacos. I'm like, I want to figure out how I can get people to send me tacos.
Okay,
I want that. I'm not even on the show.
that's right.
We're going to figure out a way to send Christian
I have
tacos.
tacos for everybody, except for me. I want Bitcoin.
You want Bitcoin?
Yeah.
I don't get the Bitcoin thing. You'll have to explain it to me.
What could go wrong?
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. The contents presented during the Practical Medicine podcast include information about various modalities that exist to achieve health and wellness and are for informational purposes only. You acknowledge and agree that the following disclaimers and warnings shall apply to all content presented.
The podcast contains the opinions of Dr. Robert Balko, DAC, LAC, and Dr. Stephanie Lipnicki, DACM, LAC, and the guests of their show. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you have regarding any medical condition.
The views expressed in the Practical Medicine podcast are our own and do not represent those of all licensed acupuncture professionals. Always seek the help of your own acupuncturist or medical provider to determine your best course of action. You may want to use the information presented as a supplement to better understand your diagnosis or treatment, but it should not be the sole thing that you use to make important medical decisions. Do not use the content of the podcast in lieu of medical advice.
Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking care because of something you have heard on this podcast. Privacy is important to us, thus all people, places, and scenarios have been changed where applicable to protect privacy and maintain confidentiality.